I have a word for my teacher friends today. Something I read in the Bible that just really spoke to me, and I wanted to share that. And so before I even went inside my house, I'm sitting out in my car in 100-degree weather, and I just had to get these thoughts out. So I was reading about Elijah in the Bible, and right after he he kind of confronts Ahab and says, "Hey, there's not going to be rain." And then Elijah goes and hides, and he's fed by ravens. But eventually, as we know, like the brook that he's hiding by dries up. There's no more food, and so God sends him to this widow in this village, and God says that He has instructed the widow there to feed him. Now, the widow was in this crisis, right? It was a famine. When Elijah asked her, he's like, "Hey, can you bring me water and bread?" She's like, "I swear, I have not a single piece of bread in the house, and I've only got a handful of flour left in the jar and a little cooking oil in the bottom of the jug, and I was just gathering a few sticks to cook this last meal, and then I'm planning on dying," her and her son. And I kind of feel like the widow right now. Like, I can really identify her, and I think most of us teachers can. We're looking around going, hello, it's a pandemic. Like, we've got our own personal crisis. Don't know if you heard about that, but we've got our own personal crisis going on, and you want us to, like, feed these people? You want us to teach and to do creative lessons, and like, we can get super overwhelmed. And when I read that, like, I'm actually hearing the frustration in her voice and just kind of like the throwing all the papers in the air going, "I don't know what you want from me." And yet what Elijah tells her is that God has given her everything that she needs. He said, "No, don't be afraid. Like, God's got this. He's got this." He's like, "Go ahead. Make me some bread, make a meal, because God says there will always be flour and olive oil left in your containers." Friends, our resources might be pretty meager right now. Like, my time, it's kind of non-existent. My creativity is pretty much zapped. Like, even our patience probably worn pretty thin. Anxiety levels are high, and yet even those very meager resources, God has promised they will not run out. He has called us to this mission. He has put us where we are for a reason. We are here for a time such as this. This is our ministry, and this is our calling. And when He gives you one of those, your resources will not run out, even if they're meager. There is another phrase in here that struck me, because when Elijah told her, "Don't be afraid," he says, "Go ahead, do just what you said. Make a meal for your family, but first, make a little bread for me." And I realize, over the past several years, it's funny, I will have really vibrant, wonderful personal times with God, and then the school year starts. And I think, especially working in a Christian school and being involved in ministries in church, we can become blind to the fact that our personal time with God begins to wane, because we're always in the Bible. I read the Bible with my kids. I read it in my class. I attend chapel. I do church youth group. And yet what happens is my worship becomes this corporate time, and my personal time with God, my prayer, and that personal Bible study time tends to go away. And the reason it tends to go away and starts to fade is because my words are after that. I've got a lot of lesson planning to do, but after that, I'll read my Bible. I've got to make dinner, and I've got to get the laundry started. I got to tuck my kids into bed, but after that, I'll make time to go pray. And what happens when we use those words "after that" is that after that just keeps on going. It never, like, I can't tell you how many times that after that never happened. After that, I was so tired, I just went to bed. But what Elijah says is not, he doesn't say, hey, make your meal, and then after that, fulfill your calling. He says, make your meal, but first fulfill your calling. First, make me the bread. Use the resources that God has given you to fulfill the calling He has for you. And this really challenged me. I was thinking about it all the way to school this morning, and of course, I had all these meetings, and after that, I decided to make this video. But I think if we could just change our words from "after that" to "but first," we'd be in a whole lot better place. In fact, once the woman did that, once she changed her "after that" to "but first," she got to witness a miracle, because God filled everything as long as she kept putting Him first. If we want our jars filled, even those little bitty jars that have nothing, barely anything left in them, we've got to make sure that we keep "but first" at the forefront. I've got lots of lesson planning to do tonight, but first, I'm going to finish my Bible reading. I do have to do laundry and dishes and think about and think about dinner. But first, I'm going to take a second to pray. I'm going to take a second to hug my family, to tell them I love them, to spend some good time with them. But first, I've got to tell my Creator how much I love Him and how much I need Him. So, with that being said, I think I'm going to turn this video off. I'm going to go inside my house. I'm going to see my family. But first, I'm going to take a second here in my hot car to talk to my Creator, so that He can fill those jars, so that I can keep giving to everyone around me and fulfill the calling that He has for me. I hope that's been a word of encouragement for you. I've been thinking about it all day, so I just had to get it out. You guys, my teacher friends, have an amazing week, no matter where you are. If you're virtual, if you're in person, whatever it is, I hope that the start of this school year is amazing for you.